I'm gonna take it too.
I'm sweating. Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah, just relax, relax.
Don't too stiff. Just relax. Yeah. No. Yeah.
No, bring your head down. Just relax.
I'm not seeing the energy. I'm not seeing the African energy.
I just got no
Today, I want to talk to you about the importance of elders. When I say elders, it's not necessarily based in a specific age, but more so the wisdom that someone who may be a little bit older than you has to offer to give. One of the crucial things in African culture is respecting your elders. And I think that's for a lot of different cultures, whether you're Asian, Latino, so forth. For me, as a Black man in America, one of my all-time heroes is my grandmother and my grandfather, and they had a lot of wisdom to give. And I think one of the things I had to realize was I had to be open to that wisdom. I had to be open to that conversation with them, even if it wasn't a verbal conversation. It was the fact that they were teaching me certain things implicitly and explicitly. In Ghana, you get to see all these different age groups interacting. And what I appreciated was anyone, an elder, could go check your kid. Meaning check in with your kid, but also check your kid if your kid was misbehaving. And I know, again, this is different in the States. I'm not telling you this for comparison's sake. I'm telling you so you just have a different framing of elders in your community, however you define elder. Whether that's your grandmother, your auntie, your uncle, your grandpa, even your coach or your teachers. Something that kept coming up for me is not only the question of what is an elder, do we respect elders? How do we respect elders? How do we allow elders to function in our communities? What do we expect from them? What do we want them to do? How do we want them to interact? And on the flip side, how do we want our young people to interact with the elders? How do we want our young people to see them? And I think it's a two-way street. In some senses, I was questioning what does it mean to behave like an elder? And on the receiving end, would I, as a young person, be able to identify, respect an elder if I saw one? Are there certain behaviors I would be looking out for me to give my respect to that person, and vice versa? Because respect isn't given; it tends to be earned in the States. But I wonder what happens when you're raised to see your elders all around you, whether they're blood or not blood related. I wonder what happens when you are able to engage them and they engage back, and there's not this disconnect or distance or suspicion between the generations. Now you're probably asking, well, what spurred this commentary? Well, everywhere I go and everywhere I went in Ghana, I had a chance to talk to someone that was older than me. Specifically, I was really interested in the Black men, the older Black men in the communities. I was able to go to an art museum and meet the owner of the art museum. It's a family-owned business. I even got to meet the owner's father, who was the original founder of the art museum in Accra, in the city of Accra. After going through all the artwork and having him, the owner, the son, so to speak, talk to me about how they came to be and just walk us through Ghanaian history, African folklore. And again, I just felt so grateful that he would take the time to walk us through. Again, we're Americans. There's three of us, and we're walking around, and he took the time to take us around. And I felt this really strong connection to him. If I could take you back to that moment, imagine you're standing, you're overlooking the water, you're hearing the waves. Right? I'm in Ghana, or on the beach. Imagine you're hearing the waves flowing, and you've got two Black men just there. What do you do? Yeah, we can talk about mundane things, but I really want to take that opportunity to just ask them, life questions. What advice would you give to your younger self? And they told me to be patient, take on challenges that you can take on. You can't take on the entire world overnight, and just live a life of integrity and honesty. And it means a lot to me as someone who doesn't have a family, right? Who wants to have a child one day, and who feels like they hope that their best contributions to the world, or one of the best contributions to the world, is how they help nurture and grow their young people, whether it be my own seeds or my students. I think about that a lot, just as in the role that I'm in. I don't think my role is the most important, no, but it is important. I want to say it again. I don't think my role is the most important. I think the most important thing is I do what I can to be important in the young person's life and just do right by them. That is something I always say to myself. No matter how hard the day is with a student, do right by the young people. Furthermore, I got a chance to meet a chief. I met 2 chiefs. My host teacher was a chief, and he had a lot of wisdom to give, and just how he embodied Ghanaian African traditions and just how he lived those out. I respect the hell out of that. In my head, these are things I read about in books, but to see it lived out, honored, and passed on, it hit differently, as the kids would say. So I meet a chief, or second chief. We share libations, we share laughter, a lot of joy between us and the elders in that particular village. And the last thing I asked him as we're leaving out of his quarters, I said, hey, what advice did you give to your younger self? And that's a question I hope, if you're a young person watching that, ask that question to anyone older than you. I think that's a really humbling question. And it really shows that you want to learn and you want to, honor what they can give you. It puts you in the position of a student. It puts them in the position of not an all-knowing person, but someone who has something to give to the generation, right? Paying it forward, paying it back. That's really important value that I grew up with as a kid. So shout out to my parents. Being in Africa just made me think about my own self. When and if I see myself as an elder, how will I respect and own that role? Yeah, I'm a teacher. I don't consider myself an elder just yet. I do consider somebody that's participating with the young people and trying to learn and bridging whatever gaps that I can, given the experience I've had. But it's hard to say that I have more experience than some of my students. If anything, we're just always sharing experiences to learn about ourselves and the world around us. So I would say being in Africa just made me really just think about myself and me growing older. Let me say this. I hope young people know that they can grow old. And I know some of you may be confused by it, but I'm saying I want young people to know that I hope you have it in your intentions, your goals, your daily life to grow old and nurture something and to pour into something and watch something grow. Whatever that thing may be, it may be art, it may be your child, it may be your community, it may be just your garden and the plants. But I hope you get to grow old and see something grow and grow for the better. If you get a chance, here's the big so what. Respect your elders. They are a resource in our community. Honor them as much as you can. Figure out what you need to do, and whether that's daily habits, monthly habits, annual habits, action plans, goal setting. What do you need to do in order to grow old? What do you need to do, and how do you want to be when you're pouring into something, when you're watching something grow, when you're giving love, joy, light, water, food to something? Leave me a comment. Let me know something that you're doing that keeps you motivated to grow old and to see the world become a better place, and how do you want to contribute to that future world?
Hey, it's D. White, founder of JustBlackThoughts.com. If you haven't done so, hit subscribe on YouTube. Follow me at The Other English Teacher on Instagram and YouTube. Peace.